Good afternoon. I would like to now invite Dr. Cynthia Anthony, ACCA Executive Assistant and Executive Vice President and Dean of Students at Lawson State Community College, to introduce our Chancellor.
I have the distinct pleasure this afternoon of introducing our Chancellor. Mr. Jimmy Baker is a native of Coffee County, Alabama. He attended high school in New Brockton and later earned a BS degree in Business Administration from Troy University. He earned a graduate degree in Economics and Education Administration and an Education Specialist degree from Auburn University. Roll Tide. He was also certified in school administration. Mr. Baker served 6 years in the U.S. Army Reserves. Professionally, he has taught history and social studies at the high school level. He has coached football and basketball at Daleville High School, and he served as assistant superintendent and superintendent of education for the Daleville Board of Education. He also served as superintendent for the Coffee County Board of Education. In 1979, Mr. Baker was appointed to serve as the state of Alabama's Assistant State Superintendent of Education and Finance, and he served in that role for 4 years. He was appointed as State Finance Director in 1994-1995, where he developed and assisted in the passage of the funding formula known as the Foundation Program. Later, he was appointed as Deputy State Superintendent of Education to actually implement that funding formula. Throughout Mr. Baker's career, he has been instrumental in the development of partnerships with businesses, including medical evacuation, real estate development, and governmental affairs. As an educator, he has chaired and served on numerous committees, including the Alabama Textbook Committee, the State Tenure Commission, and the Alabama Association of School Administrators. After joining the Alabama Community College system, first serving as governmental affairs consultant, he was appointed Chief of Staff in January of 2016. Chancellor Baker was appointed as acting chancellor in August of 2016, and on March 15, 2017, he was named Chancellor of the Alabama Community College system. Please help me welcome our Chancellor, Mr. Jimmy Baker.
We are a community from all walks of life, with diverse circumstances, some more challenging than others. But we are not defined by these circumstances. We are defined by our ambitions, our goals, our dreams. But a dream is only a dream without the opportunity to achieve it. Opportunities in Alabama have changed. An economy once focused on agriculture and textiles has diversified. Today, multinational corporations are choosing to invest in Alabama, and Alabamians are the workforce they want to hire. We build, we support, and we grow our communities, planting new seeds of opportunities across Alabama. In the whitest of sands, the reddest of clays, and in the blackest of soil. ACCS is at the center of this transformation, providing every citizen a path to a better future. Whether that's the start of a 4-year degree, receiving a 2-year associate's degree, earning certifications and skills to enter the workforce, or simply receiving basic literacy to improve their lives. The Alabama Community College system looks at Alabamians and sees engineers, law enforcement officers, programmers, business managers, nurses, and educators. A truly endless list of careers. While we have made great progress, there is much to be done. The diversity of our state means diversity in the challenges we face. While some of our major cities enjoy low unemployment rates and a higher quality of life, many rural areas lack broadband access and updated infrastructure, making it difficult to bring needed jobs to these communities. With 24 colleges and more than 75 locations across the state, the Alabama Community College system is prepared to meet these challenges. We're ready to adapt, to adjust, to train and to educate Alabama's future workforce. We know that change is coming to Alabama. ACCS is that change. Real change. Change that starts with the needs of every student, every community, and with every company in the state. We know that the future can be as close as the nearest community college.
I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that video. It's been a long time coming, but we now, at the Office of Post-Secondary Education, we are now equipped, we are now staffed, and it's our mission to tell the people in the state of Alabama that we are ready to fulfill the mission that we have been assigned. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And how do we do that? How do we go forward? I know there's been a system. I happen to have been around a long time, kind of indicated that. I'm going to change that resume and quit putting so much in it because it sounds like I can't even keep a job. But there's been a lot of talk for a long period of time about a community college system. I was Assistant State Superintendent of Education in charge of finance when the community colleges were simply a department in the State Department of Education. I helped draft the legislation, and the legislative activity was part of my responsibility to pass that because I believe that the system wasn't well defined. One of the things that would have been really nice, but we didn't have support to do that at the time, was to go ahead and create an independent board who was tasked with making the community college system the great system that it should be and is in many instances. I don't want you to get the impression that I'm discouraged or unhappy. I just think there are higher heights and more things that we can do because I believe this. I believe it, and you've heard me say this. We are the best hope and are in the best position and have the best mission to proceed to change the future of a huge number of people in this state. And I'm glad to be a part of that. But we are now fortunate enough to have an independent board, and I won't comment on the value of that. I think you understand the value of that. We have a board that is totally committed to the proposition that the community college system in this state must and will be a shining star in education. I honestly believe at this point, we are to a point, rather, where it is recognized that the community college system is a leader, and the legislative body has taken that position pretty much by asking us to be a leader as we move forward with some changes in the funding system. Now, what all of that ends up being is not certain. But at least we are in the position to provide the leadership. I'd always rather be in the leadership role than to be in the role of having to do what some four-year college professor told us we needed to be doing. And so I've kind of looked at the community college system and tried to figure out what is it that we can do, must do, should do to move forward. Number one, we have to accept the fact that we are a system. Now, what does that mean? It means we should help each other. We should work together. And we should all benefit from good things that are happening in other schools. Maybe not in our school. And maybe some things in our school that is happening that needs to be in another school. We have a group of people in the system, a large number of people in the system, who is as good as you're going to find anywhere. Now, we may have a few that are not quite there, but we're going to work on that as well. And as we move toward creating a system, I want your support. I want you to have your support. And I want you to think about, what is your mission? What is our mission? What are we working together to try to bring about an improvement in the state of Alabama? But it's bigger than that, because it's an improvement in the lives of many of our students. And without an opportunity, the odds are even greater today than they have been in the past that those students who need the help will not succeed. It's a tough situation in the market if you're not prepared to be competitive. It's our job to make sure that they are competitive. And as we move forward, there's several initiatives that I'm excited about. Now, let me tell you a little story. It's kind of a childish story, but it illustrates something. I won't ever forget, I'd become a superintendent of education. Now, I did not have the advantage of having sat through all the foundations of education courses and all the materials and methods and whatever else and I'm not being negative, but I am going to say something that might be controversial. I have no idea how many schools of education we have in this state, in the universities, private, public, whatever. And I look around the state and I wonder, what are they having to say about the literally disastrous situations that exist in many of the secondary and elementary schools in this state? I believe the people of the state of Alabama deserve better. Now, I'm not talking about the Vestavias or the Mountain Brooks or the Jaspers or the Fort Paynes or the Enterprises or Eufaula's, but there are worlds of students in this state today who do not have access to an adequate program in K through 12. How many colleges have you heard talk about that? I won't ask for a show of hands, but I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about, are they connected to the K through 12 programs? Because that affects us. The remediation programs, and we must change what we're doing with remediation. But those programs are overloaded in many instances because the job is not being done before the students get to our schools, whether it be a 2 or a 4-year college. But I don't hear an outcry coming from those people about, we can do this to help. See, I have some problems. I just don't understand how you get a student who goes through a school of education, gets a certification and degree in elementary education, and then after they start teaching, you have to teach them how to teach reading. I don't understand that. That means that a lot of money is going to do that. that could be divided among you. See, every time the pie is split, we get a smaller slice of the pie. And I'm not just picking on those folks. I'm just saying we need to back off and take a serious look at what kind of commitment are we making about education. I remember back to my story, my first year as a superintendent. I began something that I kind of thought I should do. I began looking at the progress of the students. And I began noticing over a couple of years that in one instance, I could almost pick out which students were in a certain class in the first grade by their performance in the next year and 2 years. So I began to say, what is causing this problem? Well, it so happened that that particular teacher was the queen of the community, and everybody wanted their kid in her class. And I began to look at all that and why and what is causing this problem. So I talked to her, and it was just unbelievable that I would even ask her what she's doing in her classroom. But after a period of meeting several times, I finally found out her kids could color better than any other kids in the school because they had an awful lot of practice at coloring. But they didn't read too well, and they didn't manage math too well. And I'm not suggesting we have anyone teaching coloring, but I am suggesting this, that one of the things that we're going to do, it may take 2-3 years, but we're going through a process of professional training and development so that we have defined what we should be doing in each school, each classroom. We defined how we explained the expectation for a student, and we defined how we're going to evaluate that so that we will know for a certainty when students leave our schools and they go to work for someone, we are delivering an instructional program that we can say this student knows how to succeed. I think that's important. Now, it's kind of boring to talk about all of that, but as we do that, I'm thoroughly convinced that retention will improve. I'm thoroughly convinced that completion will improve. And because of that, I'm thoroughly convinced that the community college system will be still the leader in education in this state. I'm convinced of that. So as we move along, you'll be hearing a lot more about it, and a lot of you will be involved in the process of putting that together. Another item that I'm seriously interested in is workforce development. As you know, we've kind of beefed up our operation for workforce development. Now, I would tell you that in the state of Alabama, workforce development is kind of like developing an all-star team, but everybody is the quarterback. And it's hard to win a game when everybody's the quarterback. We have some problems that we're going to have to resolve over a period of time. It will come with time, not just in the community college system, but other vehicles in the state that deliver some or parts of some workforce development. And the other part of that is we're going to have to do and expand a significant program of educating and counseling and work with the K through 12 people to provide better counseling in the schools. Now, counseling is something that I do not understand. I guess it's a void of my academic pursuits because I never studied counseling much. But I understood counseling. You know, the counseling program that I had when I was in high school many, many years ago, We didn't have a counselor. I went to a small high school. I was a senior, and I did pretty well. And I tried to figure out what I was going to do. And one day, these two guys came in from Atlanta, from the Atlanta School of Technology. Well, that was kind of a big sounding name at the time, and I thought, gosh, I may be interested in this. So I talked with the guys, and they came to my home that evening and talked to my parents. And it all sounded like I could probably, go there for about 12 to 18 months. And 2 or 3 years, I'd probably own the company. That's the way they made it sound. And so next day in school, I'm sitting in class and came on the intercom for me to report to the principal's office. So I go to the principal's office and walk in, and there's the principal and these two guys. And the principal looked at me and said, "Jimmy, these guys tell me they want copies of your transcript. Are you thinking about going to that school?" I said, "Well, Mr. Robinson, I'm not sure, but I'm considering it." He said, "Forget it. You're going to college." "Well, yes, sir." And so I did. That's not the kind of counseling I'm talking about. The world has changed, and if you're still doing what you were doing 10 years ago or 5 years ago, we aren't doing what we should be doing. Maybe some of that, okay, but the world of work, the world of profession, and the world of making a living and being competitive in the marketplace is something that has changed dramatically. I spoke today to a corporate office of a group of their managers. And one of them gave me this example. He said, "My son took welding at a community college. He's now in Little Rock. And he called me the other night and said, 'Dad, I got my bank statement. I've got more money in the bank than I've ever had. And I'm going to get my own telephone service.'" And the guy said, "Well, let me sit down and you tell me that again." But the point is, his son is doing well. He spent 2 years in a community college, and he's gone forward, and he's willing to travel, and he's making considerable money. I went to undergraduate school, graduated with a degree in business administration. I don't even know what that means. I didn't know then. That's why I went to graduate school. And I think there's still a world of students like that, but the difference is this. And since Trish is a big reader of John Gresham, his newest book addresses the issue of student debt. Folks, that has changed this country, but it's not even beginning to be seen yet at what level it will change this country. The average debt per student is $37,000. Earl Johnson, the mayor of Andalusia, told me, he said, "Jimmy, I don't need more folks that have a BS degree in business administration because I don't have but a few department stores where they can clerk. I need to have a skilled, trained workforce so I can tell industry that I'm trying to recruit that if you come here, we can provide the workforce and they can make good money." Now, I'm not telling you that we've got to ignore college and a degree. I'm not saying it's not important. It is. But it's not so important that you can't develop an approach to how we professionally pursue getting a job, a certification, or a degree. In Gresham's book, he picks up 3 students who skipped their last semester of law school, and one of them I think owes about $190,000, and the other two owe over $200,000. You say, well, that's exaggerated. It's not exaggerated if you pursue a professional certification above the master's degree. It's not exaggerated. I have a great nephew who's practicing medicine today, and I'm afraid to ask him, has he been able to pay down his debt? Because I know what his debt was, and it was well over $200,000. We are leading a population of millennials down a path that is not going to be pretty. Now, do I mean they shouldn't go to school? No, I do not mean that. But they need to find a way to be committed enough to do something. And I think most of you, a lot of you, when you went to college and paid a price in terms of effort and how you lived in order to afford to go to college. So I think that's an issue that somehow we've got to find a way to address. How do we move forward in the state of Alabama and deal with how we require students to fund education programs? And I would tell you our sister institutions seem to ignore that fact. And as long as students can get federal loans and or grants or some combination thereof, tuition is not an issue. We struggled this past session just to keep our increase in tuition no more than $2. We're at about $136 a credit hour or so. A lot of our sister institutions, four-year institutions, think nothing of asking almost $600 a credit hour. That's serious business. I know why the cranes are all located on their campuses. It's a major, major issue, but I'm committed to let's operate as efficient as we can, and in that process, try to do everything we can to keep the students counseled that they pursue a degree or a certification so they can find employment and not owe a debt at a significant level in order to get there. In doing that, I won't say excited, because I don't know how you get excited about this issue, but I'm pleased to be to a point where within the course of the next couple of months, we will determine exactly which ERP we are going to use. I think we pretty well know, but we have a lot of negotiations to manage through between now and then. And once we get into a position where we can convince the legislature and the state that we know how to manage our finances and that we're all doing it consistently and accountable in a way that we can be economical, and through that same process, develop shared services, I think we can then show the legislative body, hey, we're doing the job of operating as efficiently as we can, but yet we need to be able to prove that we're delivering the product that we should be delivering. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to move forward. It's not going to always be easy. We're not always going to be in total agreement. But we've always got to be centered on what? We must be centered on the students. We cannot be led astray and get focused on things that are not that important and ignore what we should be doing as we move forward in a student-centered education program. So I think we have a great opportunity. Now, are we up to the task? Or are we willing to take on the task? I would hope that everyone in this room and everyone that you're associated with at your school is willing to take on the task. because it matters what we do. It matters how we conduct ourselves. It matters what kind of image we portray to our students. It matters how professional we are in dealing with our students and our community and our constituents. It matters every day how we teach the students and how we provide guidance. I know that in many occasions a student feels like, we can get by with doing a variety of things. If we don't explain to them what it takes in order to be successful in the world of work, then we have not delivered the product that we need to deliver. I was talking with Mac McDaniels the other day, our new aviation guy, and I was impressed because he had been to one of our programs. And he came back talking about we had to shape up. And let's start requiring the students to dress just like they would dress if that was a job. I visited a school not too long ago, and it's always interesting to watch the nursing programs and the healthcare programs because they do that. It matters when a student understands the work skills that they must demonstrate as they go forward in a competitive world about the world of work. So let's find a way to develop a relationship as a system. Let's find a way to look at your school, your class, your community, your organization, your sphere of influence, and let's talk about the community college and where we're going. We're not there yet, but we're headed in the right direction. And I want to express to you how much and how encouraging it has been in talking with the presidents. Now, not every one of them. I'm not going to lie to you. But a majority of them, a vast majority of them, that they are willing to move forward and assist in making the community college system what it can be and they want it to be, as an organization that says to the people in the state of Alabama, we care about you, we care about your students, we care about you as a student, and we're going to do everything we can to help you be competitive. And I think it was Carl Sandburg said, lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime as departing leave behind us footprints on the sand of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over like solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing takes to heart again. So let us be up and doing with a heart for any fate, still proceeding, still pursuing. Learn to labor and to wait. It won't always be fun, but it will always make your heart swell when you can talk about that student that you helped, that family that you helped, that community that you helped solve problems in, as you move forward and we succeed as becoming the greatest community college this state has ever seen. Again, I appreciate your effort. I support what you're trying to do and are doing, and I solicit your support for the development of the community college system. Thank you.
Chancellor Baker, thank you for your leadership, your insight, and your vision for our system. And on behalf of the Alabama Community College Association, we also appreciate your support of this annual conference as well.